Hi everyone and welcome to today's session. This is going to be another athletic development session which includes 4 units. A stability mobility unit, which is going to act as our warm-up, a speed mechanics unit, a strength and power unit, and we'll finish up then with a cool down stretch. So the first unit we're going to work on is the stability mobility unit, and I'm going to get Jake to demonstrate some of the movements here. And as always, we're going to start off with your breathing control and core bracing exercise. So again, not underestimating these exercises, the power of these exercises. So we're going to work on 5 cycles of that breathing control. And every time you do this and every session you work on this, try work on getting that breath down a little bit deeper into the tummy. So it's inhale in through the nose, breathing down into the tummy, pushing that diaphragm down, holding it, and then releasing. So remember that count of inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, hold for 1, 2, release for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So totally emptying out the lungs there on that exhale. So just slowing it down here, taking your time, getting that breathing control right. So think of pushing that diaphragm down as you're inhaling. So you're essentially what you're doing here is just filling up the lungs and pushing that diaphragm down, and that's why it feels like you're breathing into the tummy. Once you've completed 5 cycles here, we're going to take it to the core bracing. Good. Take your time with that breathing control. Good. Okay, onto the core brace. You should be very familiar with this now. Bracing through the core muscles, holding for about 10 seconds, and then totally relaxing. A reminder on this, you don't want to draw too much tension in through the core because you'll draw tension into the rest of the body. So just enough tension that you're activating those deep lying core muscles, holding it for 10 seconds and relaxing. 2 rounds on this, 2 10-second rounds, just to wake up those deep lying core muscles, get them ready for the rest of the session. Perfect. Okay, we're ready for a little bit of movement now. So Jake, you can actually stay where you are for this next exercise because it is a hip bridge exercise. And we're going to take the spinal peel exercise you would have learned from block 1, and we're just going to progress it on a little bit here, challenge it a little bit more. So the spinal peel exercise you will have performed with your hands in this position here. So Jake, I'm going to get you to make this a bit harder and take the arms back behind the head. As with all the exercises, if you struggle with the progression, take it back to the one you would have learned previously and just work on getting that right. And when you're ready, then you can progress it on. Okay, so we're working on the hip bridge movement here, but spinal peel. So just a reminder on this, you're going to tilt your pelvis to flatten the lower back, and then you're going to peel gradually up through the lower back, through the mid back, to the upper back, lifting the hips up, holding and pausing, and reversing that peel, down, upper to mid to lower. Perfect, very nice spinal control there from Jake. Okay, so we're going to repeat this movement about 4 to 6 times. Just really focusing on getting that control of the pelvis and that control of the spine. If you feel very shaky on this movement, just take those hands back down by your side and get control over that movement. When you're happy, then take the hands back and challenge it a little bit more. Every time you perform this peel, think of exaggerating the movement a little bit more and more each time. So again, tilt the pelvis back, lower, mid, upper, pause, and reversing it back down from the upper to the mid to the lower. Good. Jake, I'm going to get you to do it just once more. So like I said, 4 to 6 repetitions every time, trying to get a little bit more control over the movement. And imagine each vertebra of the spine separating out on this. Good. Perfect. Okay, let's take it to a standing position. We're going to take it out here onto the track. We're going to work on the opposite side crawl exercise next. Okay, so the opposite side crawl exercise is not a progression. You will have performed this in the previous block, but we're going to do it here for a warm up into the next exercise, which will be a progression. Okay, so a reminder on this, you're going to take it down into that bear crawl position with your hands below your shoulders, knees below your hips. Stay on your knees for now. And your knees tucked underneath. So get that position right first. Not letting your head hang, eyes looking at the ground here in front of you. Bracing your core before you lift into that bear crawl position. So tighten up the core, lifting the knees off the ground just slightly, and opposite arm, opposite leg crawling forward for 4 to 6 repetitions, and then backwards for 4 to 6. Good. Nice, control and rest down. Good. Okay, so like we did in the previous block, we take a rest and we're going to do that once more. So when you're ready, Jake, activate the core, reactivate again before you move forward for 1, 2, 3. Take your time. 5 and 6. Pause and reverse it. 1, 2, 3. Strong core. 5 and 6, and relax down. Perfect. Good. Okay, Jake, I'm going to get you back over to the mat here, just make it a bit more comfortable. So just practicing that movement back and forth again before you progress on to this new exercise. So this exercise is going to be a Superman pose exercise, but in that crawl position. So positioning for this is going to be the same. Hands underneath your shoulders, knees below your hips, toes tucked underneath. And I'm going to have Jake demonstrate this movement here before lifting the knees off the ground. Okay, so Jake, I'm actually going to get you to bring your knees in a little bit more underneath your hips because they're out a little bit wide. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so Jake is going to demonstrate this in the position he's in. He's going to extend the opposite arm and leg out, so reaching the arm in front and leg behind, and slowly returning it to the ground and doing the same on the opposite side. Now, if you find that this is enough of a challenge for you and you're quite shaky on this, keep it at this variation. Keep your knees on the ground. If you find you're okay with that, let's progress it on to the raised knee position. So into that crawl position. Before you do anything here, activate your core. So when you're ready, lifting the knees off the ground, Jake. And now nice and strong through that core as you extend the arm and leg. So much, much more difficult here. And trying to maintain a strong core, flat back, slowly bring it back. Good, and repeating the same on the opposite side. And you can rest the knees down between each one here. If you're feeling strong, you can continue the movement without resting the knees down. Let's try the opposite side, Jake. And slowly back. Good, and rest. Again, 4 to 6 repetitions here. I'm going to see if Jake can do 2 reps here without dropping the knees down. So let's give that a go, Jake. Reaching the arm and leg. Slow return. Good. And same on the opposite side. Good. Nice control. And dropping down. Perfect. So you can see there, the knees are wanting to lift up. Try keep them nice and low to the ground. I'm just going to get Jake to do 2 more reps here just to show you the 6 repetitions, but anywhere here between 4 and 6 reps. So Jake, once more to each side. Nice strong core. And try get that arm and leg moving at the same time. So try not to let that arm come down first, catch yourself, and then the leg. Try get it all moving at the same time. Good. So Jake is demonstrating that nicely there. And resting down. So quite a challenging exercise. Take your time with it. If you're not feeling strong on this movement, just take the knees down onto the ground. And then when you're ready, progress it onto that raised knee position. So that's it for our stability and mobility unit. We're going to move on to the speed mechanics unit next. Okay, this is our speed mechanics unit. We're going to take what we've learned of the mechanics in the first block, and we're now going to apply a little bit more movement and make it a little bit more challenging. So still focusing on quality movement, good quality movement. So if you feel like this is a bit too challenging, bring it back to the exercises learned in block 1 and then progress on to this when you're ready. The first exercise we're going to do is a forward acceleration into a deceleration and then back pedal. So just a reminder on the mechanics we're looking for here. For acceleration, you're leaning forward. You've got that high knee drive, toes up, and that extension then of the back leg. On the deceleration then, it's the opposite. If we lean forward for acceleration, we're going to lean backwards slightly for deceleration. You're going to plant the feet, you're going to bend through the ankle, knees, and the hips, and you're going to absorb that force. On the back pedal movement then, you're pushing the ground away from you to travel backwards. So always on movement, you're pushing the ground. So forward, we want to push the ground backwards. To go backwards, we're going to push the ground forward. So think of that pushing when you're doing these movements. So Jake is going to demonstrate this here for us. You will need a 5 to 10 meter space here. We're just using a shorter space here just to demonstrate how you can do it in a shorter space. And you are working here at just a 75% pace. So you're not going full out just yet. We're still working on the mechanics. So make sure you're not working to 100%. So if you're limited on space here, you can just do about 5 meters, but you can work up to 10 meters if you have the space. Okay, so Jake's going to demonstrate here a forward run to decelerate. Pausing in that nice athletic position, ankle, knee, and hip bent. And now back pedal back, and he's pushing the ground away from him to get back. And you're coming to a standing position. Perfect. Okay, so across 5 to 10 meters. And we're going to do that 3 times. Okay, so I'm just going to have Jake demonstrate this just once more, but you're going to repeat it 3 times. So accelerate, stick, and back pedal back. Good, perfect. Okay, so I say 3 times. You can take it up to 5 times, just working on the mechanics of the movement. Okay, so Jake, I'm going to get you to turn to the side now, and we're going to work on the side shuffle movement. Okay, so now working on accelerating laterally. So now Jake's going to be pushing the ground away from him to the right, and then pausing on this side, decelerating, sticking, and then pushing the ground away from the left. Now, when you are doing the side shuffle exercise, you want to make sure that you're nice and low to the ground. If you're upright, you're not going to get that pressure you need to push the ground away. So in that strong athletic stance position, toes are pointing forward or a little bit out if you want, but not here. You don't want the foot in the direction you're traveling. It's going to slow you down. So feet forward, low position, ankles, knees, and hips bent. Imagine there's something overhead here that you're ducking down. You're trying to keep below that. And feet are not clapping together on this. So it's to the side, staying low, and not letting the feet come together. Okay, so Jake's going to demonstrate this with that deceleration. So pushing off, sticking, and to the opposite side. And sticking. Good. So Jake's got a nice stick there. He's taking the weight onto the opposite foot, but he's not letting himself go over, leaning over, bring the center of mass over to that side. Okay, so Jake's just going to demonstrate that once more. Side, stick, and to the opposite side, and stick. Good. Okay, so again, a slower pace. You can work up to about a 75% pace here, no more than that. Again, you're just getting the mechanics of the movement right. Right and left is going to be 1 repetition on that, and you can do about 4 or 6 reps there on that movement. Okay, moving on to a little bit more deceleration, acceleration work. So we would have worked with the box in the previous block. So Jake, I'll get you over here. Working on those landing mechanics, which also brings you into the deceleration mechanics as well. So just a reminder on that, you're going to drop yourself off the box and then absorbing that force with a flat foot through the ankle, the knee, and the hip. So we're going to progress that on now to a rebound movement. So we're going to drop and then rebound. And what this is teaching is deceleration into acceleration. Often in the game, you're not going to decelerate and stay there. You're going to decelerate, and then you need to be ready to accelerate either forward or to the side. So we're going to start off with a vertical rebound movement. So Jake's going to demonstrate that. So same thing as you've done before, stepping off the box, absorbing the force, and then bringing in that rebound. Perfect, good. Okay, I'm going to get Jake to repeat that 5 times. Each time you're focusing on that nice athletic position on the landing, but then immediately into a rebound. Perfect, good. A nice example here of force absorption and force production then again. You don't need to jump too high here on that rebound. You're just getting used to the mechanics of acceleration again after deceleration. Perfect, good. And for the last 2, Jake, I'm going to get you to do it facing this way just so we can see from the side. Good, okay, and once more, that rebound is immediate after that force absorption on the landing. Good, okay. We're now going to progress that on again to a lateral acceleration. So in that situation where you need to accelerate after decelerating, you may need to accelerate laterally, either to the right or to the left. So Jake is going to give a demonstration here of how we might train for that. So you're going to land, absorb that force like you would in deceleration, and then accelerate to the right and accelerate to the left. So Jake, whichever side you want to start with here. Perfect, good. Pressing off that inside leg and then absorbing that force onto the outside leg. Let's try the opposite direction. Good, perfect. Okay, so you've got the idea now. You're absorbing that force and then you're producing force again, whether it's vertical or it's lateral to the side, right and left. Okay, so you're going to perform that particular exercise 6 times. You can do 3 in each direction. So you can do 3 to the left, 3 to the right, or you could do 1, 1, whatever way you want to build that up, but about 6 repetitions there. So that's it for our speed unit, and we're going to move on to our strength and power unit next. This is our strength and power unit. We are going to demonstrate 1 set here of the 4 exercises for this unit, and then we want you to add on a 2nd set, and if you're able to add on a 3rd set at home. So the first exercise we're going to demonstrate is an extension from your hip bridge exercise. So this is a progression onto a single leg hip bridge. So Jake, I'm going to get you down onto the mat into a hip bridge position. Knees bent, feet flat, your feet are about shoulder width apart and your hands are down by your side. Good. Okay, you're now going to take the weight onto 1 foot so you can center 1 foot a little bit more. Bring the opposite leg up and hold that position. So Jake's leg here is in line with the opposite leg. You are going to try and maintain that position and not kick the leg up as you raise the hips. Okay, so Jake, when you're ready, squeezing through the glute, lifting the hips up. Pause, engage the glute, drop back down, and totally rest when you come back down. Okay, so you can keep that opposite leg up, Jake, but you're going to rest down completely through the back and hips. Okay, so again, lifting up, engage through the glute, and back down again. Good, continuing that for 10 repetitions. Each time you lift up, you're trying to engage the glute here. So squeeze through the glute as you lift the hips up. Lift the hips towards the ceiling, but trying not to arch through the back as you do this. You're keeping that back neutral, that spine neutral. If you find that you're struggling with this exercise, that you're not maintaining control, the knee is moving in and out, your hips aren't aligned, take it back to just that double leg hip bridge exercise, build strength on that, and when you're ready, then we can progress on to the single leg hip bridge. Again, 10 repetitions here. If you find that you're losing control of the movement after a certain amount of reps, just cut it there, build it up to 10 repetitions slowly. After 10, we'll switch it over. So again, center the leg a little bit more, raising the opposite leg up, control through the core and glutes here, and engaging that glute to lift. Try drive the pressure through the heel on this exercise as you're lifting up. Good, nice control and not letting yourself just plonk back down to the mat. So controlling that drop and then relaxing. Good, so letting that glute switch off and then engaging to switch it back on to lift the hips high to the ceiling. Good, nice and controlled. Ten reps on each leg. And relax. Perfect. Okay, next exercise is going to be your back extension exercise. So lying on your front, Jake, I'm going to show you a few different variations here that you can do for the back extension. So the one I'd ideally like you to do is a double back extension exercise. So what I mean by that is the arms and the legs are going to raise from the ground. So Jake, I'm going to get you to reach your arms out in front straight. Engage your core nice and tight. And if you can, lift the arms and legs off the ground as well as your head and hold position and slowly drop back down again. Good. Okay, so Jake is good with this exercise, so I'm going to get him to continue with the double arm leg movement. Engaging the core. Hold and back down again. So important that you get that pause at the top of the movement. Lift, pause, and down. Let's go for 2 more on this, Jake. We will be doing 10 in total, so if you're happy with this exercise, continue doing this for 10 repetitions. But I'm going to get Jake to demonstrate a different variation on this exercise in case you are feeling a little bit, that you're struggling a bit on this exercise. So just holding it there, Jake. I'm going to get you for the final 5 exercises to demonstrate an alternating arm and leg movement here. So keeping your left arm and right leg on the ground, I want you to raise your right arm and left leg. Good, and back down. Same on the opposite side. So sorry, yep, we'll switch that. And back down and letting your head come down in between as well. So just if you're struggling with that double and arm leg movement, you can do that alternating lift. So let's see that again, Jake. Good, and just trying to keep that leg straight as you come up, not allowing it to bend. Perfect. And then on the last one, Jake, I'm going to take you back to that double arm and leg movement. So 10 repetitions in total. Choose the exercise that suits you best. So double arm and leg. Good. And relax. Get that pause at the top of the movement for a second or even up to 3 seconds to engage those muscles of the back. Okay, the next exercise, Jake, I'll get you onto your feet. It's going to be a lateral lunge movement. So throughout the last block, we learned the forward lunge movement. We're now going to take it into a lateral lunge movement and start working on loading onto one leg. Okay, so Jake's going to demonstrate this. We're going to complete 1 set on the right and 1 set on the left. So we're not going to alternate on this movement. We just want to get the mechanics right first. So starting with a wide stance position, you don't want to start narrow on this. So feet about shoulder width apart. Nice tall torso. Your hands on this one can be in front counterbalance or on your hips, whatever you're most comfortable with. Okay, so Jake, when you're ready, you're going to step to the side, whichever side you want to start it, bending through the knee, and then pressing through the foot to come back again. Good. So a nice wide step out. You can see there, Jake corrected himself. He knew he hadn't gone far enough, so he stepped a little bit wider. Good. That's 3. Give me 7 more repetitions here, so 10 reps in total. And find that range that you can work with. As you're doing this, that opposite foot is going to want to turn out. Don't let that happen. Feet facing forward. Torso is going to come forward a little bit, hinging at the hips, but try not to let your chest drop forward too much. Good. Keep doing what you're doing, Jake, and take your hands in front. Just want to show a different movement here with the arms. Good. So progressing it on to that arm in front if you can. Perfect. Okay, 10 repetitions. We're going to do 10 on the opposite side. Let's keep the arms in front again. Step to the side. Find your range. Good. So Jake can probably come a little bit wider. So try step a bit further. Good. But you can see now his foot is wanting to turn out a little bit. And you might find that on your weaker side, you start to compensate a little bit more like that with the foot turning out. So just watch that, Jake. Keep your foot pointing forward throughout the movement. Perfect. Much, much better. Again, 10 repetitions on this side. I'm going to show just one more progression here. Jake, I'm going to get you to take the hands back behind the head and just finish off the exercise here with the hands back behind the head. So it's up to you what arm position you use here. If you're more comfortable with the hands back on the hip, you can take them back onto the hip just to get that movement right. Good. And keep that foot pointing forward. So loading onto that single leg, foot pointing forward and pushing off that foot to come back to standing position. Perfect. Okay, 10 reps each side. And we'll finish it off with the dead bug exercise. So you're lying on the mat. So the dead bug exercise is one you're familiar with. So it's that alternating arm and leg movement, drawing tension through the core and trying not to let the back lift from the mat. We're going to progress this on to the advanced dead bug exercise. So all this is leg extension. So the legs are extended, knees are straight, and they're staying straight throughout the movement. So arms up above the chest, legs up. So you'll see here, Jake, I'm just going to get you to bend your knees. Bend both knees. Yep, back to that original position. So this is where you will have started with the dead bug before. So now the legs are up. You're going to engage your core and push your back towards the mat. So glue your back to the mat. Don't let your back lift as you're doing this exercise. And opposite arm and leg movement, taking your time with this. Tap off the ground and pull it back to that initial position, that starting position, and opposite arm and leg. 10 repetitions here in total. If you find you cannot control this movement with the long leg, take it back to that 90-degree bend in the knee. Take it back to that exercise you're familiar with from the previous block. This can be quite challenging. Your back is going to want to arch here and come out of that flat position. So really fight for that flat position, but if you can't control it, take it back to that previous variation. You constantly have to remind yourself here to keep the back glued down. If you're finding this exercise easy, you're definitely not doing it right. You should feel a lot of tension here in the core. That core really has to fight to keep that back in the position we want it to be in. Nice and slow with this exercise. Don't rush it. Good. Just keep it controlled. Don't let the legs plonk down. Good. And you can see there Jake come out of that nice and slow as well. Okay, Jake, I'll get you to come to a standing position. That's our 4 exercises for the strength and power unit. Like I said at the start, we want you to try do 2 to 3 sets in this, whatever you're able for. Work through that first set. If you're feeling comfortable, do another set. Again, if you're feeling strong, take it to 3 sets or build up to it over the weeks. So that's it for our strength and power unit. We're now going to finish it up with a cool down stretch. We're now going to take it onto a cool down stretch just to finish off the workout. Okay, so for the cool down stretch, you're going to hold each stretch for about 30 to 45 seconds. And you're going to flow through a routine here from standing position down onto the floor and then back up onto the feet. Okay, so Henry, we're going to just start off with a stretch for the posterior chain, so along the calves, hamstrings, glutes, into your back, and we're going to stretch through the chest as well. So I'm going to get you to take your hands behind your back, interlock your fingers, and then you're going to pull your arms back to stretch through your chest. From that position, feet pointing forward, just about shoulder width apart, you're going to hinge forward at the hips and try bring your arms up as high as you can to the ceiling. So you're pulling your hands up to the ceiling and trying to keep your legs nice and straight on this. Good. So we're going to hold here for 30 seconds on each stretch. Really pulling those arms up. And really exaggerate that pull of the chest. And as you hold this movement, try exaggerate that pull. Pulling back through the shoulders, pulling the hands towards the ceiling. Good. So just holding for another 5 seconds, really exaggerating that stretch and just using a nice slow, controlled breathing pattern here, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay, keeping that position, Henry, bring your hands down onto the mat. Good. You're going to walk forward. You're going to drop onto one knee. And you're going to bring the opposite foot forward. And we're going to take a hip flexor stretch here. Good. So you're going to lean forward. And what you're looking for here is a nice stretch on the front of the hip. If you're not feeling that stretch, you can just walk your front foot forward a little bit more. If you're too far back, you're not going to get that stretch. So your knee here in front doesn't want to come over the toes. You're going to walk it forward and hold that stretch. Again, holding each stretch for about 30 seconds. If you can hold it for a little bit longer, you can go up to 45 seconds. Okay, let's keep that position, and we're going to take it now to the hamstring on the opposite side. So you're going to sit back, you're going to allow the toes come up towards you, and you're going to reach forward towards the foot. Okay, so as you're performing this stretch, you want to reach your hands towards the foot, but don't force the stretch and don't force any of these stretches. So just stretching to the point of tension and never pain on these movements. So you're just reaching towards that foot. If you can't reach the foot or the ankle, don't worry about it. Don't force the movement. So again, holding for about 30 seconds here, just helping these muscles to stretch out and kickstart that recovery. Good. Okay, Henry, you're going to switch legs. Opposite leg forward. You're going to push forward for that hip flexor stretch. If you're not feeling that, again, walk that front foot forward a little bit more. And just gently sitting forward. And let your torso come forward with you. You don't want to pull back on this movement. So just keep that spine neutral and hinge forward. Just trying to find that stretch on the front of that back leg. Again, using your breath, deep breaths into the nose, out through the mouth, remembering that that breath can help mobilize the joints and muscles. And sitting back for your hamstring stretch on this side. Again, reaching towards the foot, but not forcing the movement. If you can't reach the foot or ankle, just reach down along the leg as far as you can. If you find that the muscle is releasing out and you can reach a little bit further, take it that little bit further. And on each exhale, imagine that muscle relaxing. And relax. Perfect. Okay, let's face this direction for the next one, Henry. We're going to take it now to the inner thigh. Take your hands down in front. You're going to bring your left leg out to the side. Toes pointing forward. And you're going to press back, and you should feel this stretch along the inside of the left leg. If you're struggling to find that stretch, you're just going to walk the supporting knee out a little bit wider and gently press back into it. You can rotate through the torso and sink down into it if you want to find a little bit of a deeper stretch. Feeling that, Henry? Again, about 30 to 45 seconds. And you can switch legs. Good. Okay, straight leg on the stretching leg. Sit back into it. Try find that stretch along the inside of the leg. Again, if you're struggling to find that stretch, you can walk the supporting knee out a little bit more, or you can rotate your torso towards the supporting knee. Again, using your breath, relax the muscles on the exhale. Good. Okay, Henry, I'll get you to bring your hands to the front of the mat again. From here, you're going to lift onto your toes. Nice straight leg position. Walk back to a standing position. Trying to keep the legs as straight as possible. And we're just going to finish off. You can stay facing that direction, Henry. We're going to finish off with a quad stretch. So you're going to keep your supporting leg nice and soft on this. I want you to reach back, grab a hold of your foot behind, and pull your heel towards your back side. Now, as you're doing this, the supporting knee staying soft to stabilize. And pulling your heel nice and close to the back side. If your knee is out here in front, you're not going to feel that stretch. So pull it back in line with the opposite leg or back beyond it if you can. Also trying not to let that knee flare out to the side. So keep it centered, keep it pulled back, and hold that stretch on the quad. Again, 30 to 45 seconds and switch it over. Soft supporting leg. Keep that balance. If you are struggling to balance here, you can just hold on to something and get that stretch. So again, knee centered, pull it back. Try not to let it come out in front. Try not to let it come out to the side. Pull it back, stay centered, and feel that stretch on the front here on the quad. Again, using your breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And relax. Good. Okay, and that's it for our session today. Thank you very much for joining us, and looking forward to seeing you in the next session.